Hi everyone, I want to start this video with a simple sentence. Brains of elephants contain more neurons than human brains. But is that really true? In this video, I will answer two key questions. First, do elephants actually have more neurons than humans? And second, if they do, does that automatically mean more intelligence? Let's start with the numbers. The human brain has about 86 billion neurons. An African elephant brain has about 257 billion neurons. So, yes, this part is actually true. Elephants have roughly 3 times more neurons than humans. But why this comparison is incomplete? Because this comparison assumes that brains are just scaled copies of each other. Bigger brain, more neurons, and more intelligence. But biology doesn't work like that. Brains across species are not just larger or smaller versions of the same structure. They differ in how they are organized, how neurons are connected, and what different regions are specialized for. So the real question is not how many neurons there are, but where those neurons are located. For elephants, most neurons are not in the cerebral cortex. This is where elephants become really interesting. Even though the elephant cortex looks large, around 97 to 98% of elephant neurons are not in the cerebral cortex. Instead, they are concentrated in the cerebellum, a region mainly involved in motor control and coordination. The elephant cerebral cortex contains only about 5.6 billion neurons. So, a large cortex in volume does not necessarily mean a cortex rich in neurons. Humans, in contrast, have fewer neurons overall, but many more where it matters for cognition. The human cerebral cortex contains about 16 billion neurons. That's almost 3 times more cortical neurons than elephants have. So, humans lead not in total neuron count, but in the specific brain region associated with flexible cognition. But why does the cerebral cortex matter so much, and what does the cerebral cortex do? The cortex integrates information across many systems. It builds new associations, internal models, and abstractions. It supports planning, learning from the past, simulating possible futures, and even predicting other people's thoughts and intentions. In short, this is the region most closely tied to what we usually call intelligence. One useful working definition of intelligence is also behavior flexibility, the ability to adapt, to generalize, and to act appropriately in new situations. More cortical neurons can support richer representations and more flexible control. So, more neurons only help if they are in the right place for the task. There is also another crucial aspect we need to consider. Neurons come at a cost. Neurons are metabolically expensive. Running a brain with more neurons requires a constant and substantial supply of calories. Because neurons are metabolically expensive, maintaining a brain with many neurons demands a continuous and substantial energy supply, meaning that energy constraints ultimately shape a species' cognitive capacity. And this is where energy turns into something even more fundamental: time. If humans ate like other primates, we would need to spend around 9 hours a day just eating. Elephants, in fact, may spend 17 to 18 hours a day feeding to support both their massive bodies and their neuron-rich brains. Interestingly, species with more cortical neurons also tend to need less sleep, which translates into more awake time for learning, interaction, and exploration. So the question is, how did humans escape this energy trade-off? Humans found a way around this constraint. Cooking and food processing dramatically increase the amount of usable energy we can extract per unit of time. As a result, humans can meet their energy techniques in just 2 to 3 hours of eating per day instead of 9. This effectively creates free waking time, time that is no longer spent on survival but can be invested in learning, problem solving, and social interaction. And this extra time has profound consequences for how the human brain develops. So, more cortical neurons are associated with longer development. The human brain The human cortex is not fully formed at birth, it self organizes through experience. Crucially, humans do not rely on individual learning alone. We transmit knowledge culturally. Solutions accumulate across generations rather than being discovered from scratch. This is how extended development, abundant time, and a neuron rich cortex together give rise to schools, science, and cumulative technology. So, as a conclusion, why aren't elephants smarter than humans, although they have more neurons? Because elephants have more neurons overall, but mostly in the cerebellum. But humans have more neurons in the cerebral cortex. And humans also bought time through cooking, longer development, and culture. So, as a conclusion, we can say that time plus cortex plus culture leads to cumulative intelligence. Thank you for listening.